but we are the creator of the evil, not the thing itself.
You know, as a kind of in the same framework, but another kind of restraint that we experience are the limitations of illness, old age, physical disabilities. People with this kind of restraint, is it possible for us with these limitations to experience cosmic consciousness, to experience spiritual freedom, if you will?
Well, what you're trying to say is, if we are physically deteriorating, does that help us affect our spiritual self? If the spiritual self is something that man can corrupt, or it can corrupt him, or he can corrupt him, then it's not truly spiritual. We hear people talking about saving the soul, and the soul being corrupted, and or the salvation and improvement and evolving of the soul. At the same time, they'll say, we say, what is the origin of the soul? Well, the soul is divine. What is it? If it's divine, does man have it within his province to corrupt it? Can he evolve that which is perfect already? Is it I within the jurisdiction of man to do that? No, it's not so. What we can evolve and what we can deteriorate or corrupt is explained in our monographs in this way. It's the personality that we evolve, our reflection of the soul, to the extent that we abide by these inner feelings of goodness and divine within us, to that extent do we evolve. And to the extent that we ignore them, to that extent do we deteriorate, not the soul, but the reflection of it. We have used an example of a mirror, a glass pane, I should say, and behind it is a pure light, which represents the soul. And the one side of this glass is kind of obscured with oil or something on it. So the light coming through it, which is the personality, is not clear. But as we rub that glass and clean it and so on, more and more of the pure light comes through. So eventually, the light on the other side, the personality, is equal to the purity of the soul force within. And what that rubbing off is the evolution of our thought. If we just show no concern for the spiritual light, it's not rubbing off the glass.
Frater Lewis, what has it been like for you to be Imperator? How has it been an experience for you of liberty, or has it been an experience of restraint? What has it been like to be Imperator?
Well, speaking of my life as a young man and as a youth, I was granted a considerable liberty by my father, permitted to read anything I wanted to read that was in the sense of decency or morality within the scope of that kind. But I would go to my father, and with a brilliant idea, I thought, and all enthusiastic about it. And then my father would say, no, it won't work. It's not possible. And I'd say, why? Why? He always would explain to me, point 1, point 2, point 3, that's why it won't work, it's been tried. Then I recognized that fact, and I was satisfied. He never said, just because I said so. That is the worst that you can do for anyone, is to say, because I said so. A person has a sense of reality. He wants that reality to be more than just, I said so. But eventually, however, I knew that my father would be able to support his objection, and therefore I no longer felt suppressed. I knew I was on the right grounds. And of course, as Imperator, you are a target, which my father used an expression. When your head's above the crowd, you're a target for all the bricks that are flying. If you keep below the crowd and do not try to express an idea that may be a little different, why, you're all right. But if you get up and express it, then you're going to be a target for it in expressing your liberty. But we never attack any organization or any organization's views. But we are militant. We will defend ourselves. I do not agree with the member that says, or the individual that says, well, we as Rosicrucians, when we are attacked, we should just sit back and meditate and wait for something to happen to change it. No. We have been endowed with reason, with the faculties of seeing and hearing and so on, and we're supposed to use them, and we will, in a proper, legitimate, and moral way.
Frater Lewis has one last question. If you had one wish that could come true for the world, what would it be?
Well, I would like to see the average person realize there are 3 phases of life that he should pay attention to. It would liberalize them, if you wish to say that, and make him more tolerant. First, to know something about the world in which he lives. It may be surprising to you, and it may not. How many people know so little of the world in which they live? They're very provincial. They're confined to their city, their state, or their nation. They do not try to understand anything else. They won't read anything else about the rest of the world in reliable books outside of the newspapers, and they become intolerant. The second thing to do is to learn something about yourself. You are here as an entity. What distinguishes you from other living things? What is your special privilege you have? You have consciousness. That is the greatest possession that man can have. Because as consciousness, there's consciousness, simple consciousness, but he has a developed consciousness. He realizes himself and he realizes the world outside of himself. What is his relationship to that? What should he try to get out of the world, and what does he owe the world? And the next thing is to think of the cosmos as a whole. Have a broad idea of the cosmos. Do not think of our Earth as being really the only place, the important place that was just made for man. That is very limited. Think of yourself as part of a whole stream of consciousness, all of being. I think if we do that, we do not become intolerant and we do not become ignorant in the ordinary sense of the word.
Thank you very much, Frater Lewis. Being with you is always a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Thank you, fathers and stars, for giving me the opportunity to be with you, at least in this way.
This discussion on liberty and freedom was produced in the studio of the Rosicrucian Order. The Rosicrucians are a non-profit, non-sectarian, educational and fraternal organization with international headquarters located in San Jose, California. We hope you have enjoyed this program, that you have benefited from the personal insights expressed by these Rosicrucians, and that you will join us again for